Hello. Today I'll be taking a look at Darkwing Duck number 6 from Dynamite. The story is written by Daniel Kibblesmith and with art by Stefano Porcu and Simona Gita, with the main cover being done by Tad Stones, the creator of Darkwing Duck. So far, the Darkwing Duck redo has been pretty good, so we'll see if it can keep up the quality. The story begins at Darkwing's Audubon Bay Bridge hideout. After Launchpad brings Darkwing his tea, Darkwing then begins to tell Launchpad about how he became the master of disguise. The story then shifts to being a main bulk of the story, which is going to be a flashback, which is very reminiscent to some of the episodes from the original series, like Inside Bickie's Brain, which would have a framing device. Darkwing telling Launchpad his story, as Launchpad tries to visualize the story in the early 20th century, which Darkwing just goes with because it makes it more prestigious that way. We get the title for the issue, The Secret Origin of Darkwing Duck. How did Darkwing become a master of disguise? Where Drake arrives at an old theater, which is owned by the world-famous mistress of magic and disguise, Waddleade Webfoot. Drake then attempts to make his way inside. He is impeded by an employee. Drake accidentally knocks over a stage light, causing the employee's face to melt, revealing that it was actually a wax mask and that it was Waddleade, the master of disguise. Waddleade Webfoot teaches Drake the first lesson of being a master of disguise, misdirection. And we get a little montage of her showing him various disguise techniques. A false face, or using a costume, as well as also showing him that sometimes the clothes isn't enough. You have to literally become the disguise. And as Drake is helping her move stuff, he accidentally reveals a painting of Waddleade's previous assistant, who she can't quite remember her name. But as Waddleade and Drake walk away, we see that the painting comes alive, and it's revealed to be Camille Chameleon, who over the years has managed to become one of Darkwing's more popular villains, despite being only in one episode of the original series. As Drake comes back into work, he is surprised to see Waddleade burst into the room with two police officers. She claims to have seen Drake rob the theater. Now in jail, Drake ends up using some of that Master of Disguise training and ends up tricking one of the guards into letting him out by claiming to be a police officer. But pretty soon after getting free, the police are hot on his heel, as we get a montage of Darkwing evading the police using various disguises, like pretending to be a baby, pretending to be an old woman, pretending to be a statue. Drake makes it back to the theater just in time for Waddleade's big one-off coming out of retirement show. And as he's trying to figure out what to do, he sees that the police have tracked him down, and then sees that Camille Chameleon, disguised as him, bursts onto the stage and activates Waddleade's water trap, as now she's stuck in a large glass box that's quickly filling up with water. Wanting to help, but also knowing that if he steps on stage that he'll be arrested, he quickly finds some material to use as a makeshift costume. And as Camille Chameleon, disguised as Drake, gloats as Waddleade is trapped in the box slowly drowning, Drake makes his grand reveal as the police are shocked to see two Drakes. But very quickly, out of anger and frustration that nobody can remember her actual name, Camille reveals herself, and Darkwing and Camille have a dramatic sword fight. Drake reveals to Camille that while she was proclaiming that she was such a great talent, she had forgotten the first rule of being a master of disguise, which is misdirection, where Drake reveals that he had been carefully maneuvering her to stand right under a bucket of hot wax. Drake cuts the rope and it drops on her head, covering her in quick-drying wax, where she's frozen in place. He then saves Waddleade from drowning inside the box. Camille is arrested. Camille is taken away, and Waddleade tells Drake that she has nothing left to teach him, where we get a nice little nod of seeing his his famous fedora in the box. And we cut back to the present. Launchpad is congratulating Darkwing on the story, only to realize that Darkwing is gone. And then, in a bit of a twist, Drake rips off a Launchpad mask to reveal that it was actually him, as he congratulates himself on being such a great master of disguise. And the comic comes to a close, as we get a teaser for the next villain, who looks like it's going to be Tuscanini. As for my thoughts, I'd say it was a very entertaining comic. It's very reminiscent of episodes from the original show, like Inside Binky's Brain with the framing device, as well as also elements from episodes like Clash Reunion, where Drake utilizes a prototype costume. Even though we're only 6 issues into the new rebooted Dynamite continuity, they've already changed artists multiple times already, with a new pair of artists having a more Disney Italian comics vibe. It definitely puts the comic in line with the DuckTales comic, which is similar style art. And while I've seen similar types of stories in other media, it is told well, and it also is entertaining. I also find it interesting that this new Darkwing continuity has less of a reliance on pop culture references, with a more of a focus on telling well-written stories with a clear beginning, middle, and end that also have themes and narrative foreshadowing and setup and payoff, which is a nice change of pace. Daniel Kibblesmith has done a pretty good job when it comes to capturing the voices of the various characters. There is still room for improvement. I am also curious to see how long the Darkwing traveling around the world, slowly gathering the skills to one day become the hero that we all know he is. And when they'll move on to the next story arc, they'll incorporate more of Darkwing's supporting cast. Camille Chameleon is a character that I always felt that the original series underutilized, and that she should have been in more than just one episode. And I'm always happy to see her show up. Secret Origins gave her a new origin. I think it still works with her character, so I don't mind the change. The twist at the end might throw some people off. It may impact your enjoyment of the story overall, but for me, it didn't really bother me too much. It's a fun comic that you can enjoy, whether you've been following the comic the entire time, or if this is your first issue. I highly recommend it for Darkwing fans and also new people. Really good art, a solid story. Till next time, see ya.